Scott Schilling here, but my co-host is running late, and this is the first time I've been live this year. So, welcome, you guys. Thank you so much for being here. We really enjoy being here on Tuesdays. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for holding the fort last week. I've been having some little health issues here, so I might cough a little bit, and you guys might have to take the show over. So we'll see how we go. And my green screen's here, but my backgrounds are not working. Maybe because I haven't been doing lives in about a month. So, but anyhow, we don't really have a topic, but we're all here, and we all, we'll figure something out here. And I
The
know
topic is how to improvise.
how to improvise. There you go. And Steve Rizzo has been traveling the world a little bit, and so let's just open it up here a little bit. How is everybody doing?
Okay, next question.
Come on, Steve. You're the improv guy.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, you're right. I have been traveling quite a bit, and the amazing thing is that I'm not exhausted. I have more energy than I thought I would at this point. But it's all been good. The last event I did was the Ken and Glenn show, which was Ken Walls and Glenn Morshower. They had their first event.
Yeah, and I heard you singing. It was very good. I was going to steal that.
You saw that on Facebook? Yeah.
Yeah.
Geez, of all the things, they had to see me singing the Hound Dog by Elvis.
You did a very good job. You can sing.
Well, thanks for bringing that up. But it was great. It was a great event. I mean, these guys know how to do it. And as I said, it was their first event, and I think they're going to rock it with the system that they have. So it was in Dallas, Texas, and it was an incredible audience, and it was a 2-day event from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And it was great. It was really cool.
Well, good. Well, we're glad you're here.
I'm glad I'm here also.
Good. And Mr. Schilling, Mr. Scooter Schilling, I heard a little bit about you, the titanium. Now you're Mr. Scooter.
That's right. Well, we were trying to get differentiation between me and Mr. Jones.
Yes, that's right.
Jonesy would be hard to hard to change. So
yeah,
we're here in beautiful, sunny, someday Dallas that is freezing and had 1.5 inches of snow, and that is a real event here. Let's just say it that way.
Oh, goodness.
Well, you people panic. You panic. You call it a snowstorm.
LA does that.
We had 1.5 inches, Steve. That's a snowstorm here.
I understand.
Yeah, it is.
What the funniest part about it, the good news is it was so cold.
How cold was it?
It got 11 degrees.
Well, you know what? It was so cold here on Saturday. It was minus 27 when I had to work at the hotel this past Saturday.
Wow.
That my car, and that wasn't even that wasn't like, right, minus the whatever. It was minus, it said it felt like minus 42 or something below zero. And my car freaked out that it reduced speed engine because of the oil or whatever. I did less than 20 miles an hour going to work. I was like, oh my gosh, it was crazy.
Well, that's what we say 11 here, and everybody else is like, you had nothing. I was talking to somebody in Idaho today, and same thing. They haven't seen above zero forever the last few days. So, but in Dallas, that's big stuff.
But your houses are not like equipped for like below zero, and I mean, I've heard pipe freezes and really traumatic things happen.
In my outdoor, my hose to the backyard, I now have 8 inches around, 3 feet long water drip that came out of the shielding that I put around it. So I'm guessing that's not good.
No.
So
maybe you should make a habit of.
No. I mean, we're not built for that. We get it once every 2 years, whether we need it or not. But it's amazing.
But you're getting it more often than usual, aren't you, though, Scott? I mean,
we actually, probably every 2 years now instead of every 4 or 5, but yeah, no, we're getting more of it, but it's interesting. People don't handle anything wet that falls from the sky, whether it's frozen wet or wet.
So,
It's pretty wild.
So doesn't that stand a reason to remind us that we take things for granted, and sometimes
Totally.
we just don't prepare for things? Like seasonally, we should do things, like check your smoke detectors, or disconnect. There are things you should do in the fall and then the spring and the winter that you don't want to do, but you are glad that you do when you need to do them. Going out, run water outside. Here in Florida, it's a different things that always say that the only 2 ways to get cool is lots of ways to get warm out there.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's very, it is you don't realize all the different things. And when it was being a federal holiday yesterday, not many people were on the streets anyway. So that worked out fairly well.
Yeah.
But I mean, people didn't go out today because there was it warmed up enough that that started to melt. Well, then that froze again, and that's worse than the snow. So,
well, and it's like every year they sell generators and stuff, right? So people don't get generators, and then you hear one news thing about, that
Yep.
there's going to be a hurricane or something in the area, and then all of a sudden there's all these generators not gone. But you would think after a while that some people would go ahead and buy these things or have these things to protect themselves, so that there isn't always a shortage every year to protect yourselves, So it just goes to show you, just like in life, right? With mortgages or savings, or, when you're younger, you should prepare for life insurance or whatever, if finances. I mean, you live every day, but you should also, prepare for the future as well. And it just goes to show you every day that we have those things that, live for today, but prepare for the future kind of thing.
Absolutely. I mean, we haven't had it nearly as bad as other people have, but it does take you off guard, and it just puts you out of your situation. But then I'm talking to friends in Idaho today, and we got nothing compared to that. So,
well,
that's why I texted you the other day and said, bundle up, because I saw
I laughed because I hadn't paid for my AAA in a long time. Right. And my car barely wanted to get to work. And I'm like, if I can get my car to work, it's going to stay there. And I might need to get towed. So I went to work, and I kid you not, I paid for my AAA membership because, it wasn't, I was like, I better pay that because, they ain't going to want you to pay and then all of a sudden use it the same day. So I was like, I better pay for that today, And so
it's funny you said that, Lynn. I went out, and I've been a member of AAA for, I couldn't even tell you how long. And I went out and I started my kid's car, and the battery was dead. And I got to tell you, a commercial for AAA, I literally called them, re-up my membership like you. Totally forgot it expired back in January.
Oh, and that's okay if you've been a member and you re-up.
But I did it at 10 o'clock in the morning. By 11:30, the guy was here and jumped the battery.
Yeah, that's
for
awesome.
For $67 a year.
Yeah.
All 4 cars in this kind of weather, and the guy showed up, and I called him, I'm like, dude, there is no rush. Kids are going nowhere. I'm going to work. Show up when you can. He was here in 25 minutes, and he was just jumped it and did it. And again, I think that goes back to what you guys are talking about, is you got to be grateful for those little things.
Yeah.
I was so grateful when that guy came out, and he was so cool. He could have sold me a $300 battery. I would have bought it because I'm like, kids got to go. He's like, dude, your battery's fine. Just start your car when it's 25 below zero.
Yeah.
So it's those, and I walked in the house and I said, man, it's those little things. The guy did his job. He's out there. He was happy. He did his thing. And I'm like, man, it's just another thing you need to be grateful for.
Yep. And when I got in my car that morning, because I started it started fine. And then I went out to the car and it didn't start. And then I turned it again and it started, and it had the check engine light, and it said reduce engine speed. And I was like, I'm still driving this because it was only a yellow check engine light. I need to get to work. I drove that sucker. And then I'm getting on Google while I'm at work. And shit, that meant that check engine throttle. I was looking at all the damn problems I was going to have. I paid the AAA. I'm looking at like all these hundreds of dollars to fix my car and all this stuff. Later on, by the time it was time to leave work, you know, the check engine light was slow and I got an oil change and it was fine. But you know,
the engine light covers about 75 different issues. So that light doesn't mean on its own. You definitely got to put in. You got to do
right. But I'm just saying, like,
it's
you know,
not a one size fits all.
Exactly. But I'm just saying, like, you can think of all these different things that could go on, and then you're grateful when it's not all those things. You know.
You know what? You put a little piece of black electrical tape over where you see your check engine light. You will never see it again.
I had a coworker say, "Lynn, the magic marker, just you know."
One reminder though, if you do have your car in sub-zero conditions, make sure you leave the parking brake off. That's the one thing people forget to do. What happens is the brake seizes up and it locks the car and you can't drive it. So keep the parking brake off, leave it in gear, so that if you're a stick shift, or put it in park. Because otherwise, I lived in Germany for a couple of years and we had really cold winters in the North Germany. I mean, the lake froze over. We drive cars on the lake. It was so cold. But one thing we learned quickly was you don't put the parking brake on, because I used to drive a stick shift and you always use parking brake. Don't do that when it's frozen. You'd be in trouble.
Oh, wow. Yeah. We should be sponsored by AAA, Lynn, because the advice that Barry is giving right now is priceless.
Right, exactly.
Well, just want to say something, because I'm in the least concerning area, being in LA. It's like it was like 41 one morning this week. That's how cold it got, which is nothing. But the thing about LA, which cracks me up, is that every single year when it rains, the city goes crazy. People don't know how to drive, because the other problem is also in LA, it doesn't rain that often, is that the road becomes so embedded with oil and other stuff. When the rain happens, it just brings it onto the surface. It becomes a skating rink, and people don't know how to drive in it. And it's just sad to watch people driving in LA who don't know how to drive when it's wet. It just cracks
either
me
that
up.
or their wipers don't work anyways, and then all of a sudden
they're dried out. They haven't need to change them in 4 years. You know. Oh, my video is stuck.
Oh my goodness!
Is my video stuck for you?
Give us the report.
Yeah, your video stuck.
White North.
Yeah, you're stuck.
All right, I'll fix it. You can hear me, okay? Which is good.
But it's a nice appeal with your hands out like that.
It looks like you're going, what the F?
It's like touchdown Jesus at Notre Dame. You can be the
Thank you so much.
How many times I gotta tell you?
All right, let me try this. I think we said it. Yeah, it's locked up. So shoot. All right.
See, my backgrounds aren't working on StreamYard, but his background's working, and he's frozen. So there you go.
I'm gonna pop out and come back in again. I'll see you in a minute.
All right, sounds good.
Maybe it's something down the intranet lines.
Yeah, who knows? All this frozen speaking stuff maybe got him going. I don't know. So
Rex, bring us some genius from the Great White North.
Yeah. How about those Packers? They did a good job,
Rex.
I guess.
It's a lively group. He's up talking to the Packers right now.
Oh my God, that game was ridiculous.
It was.
Oh,
ridiculously bad. On one side.
I've never seen two teams fold like Dallas and the Eagles.
Yep.
Well, I think it's because Ken Walls went to his first Dallas live game that I think they lost. That's what I heard.
Yeah, but he was sitting in box seats with Glenn Morshower, so I don't really think he gave a crap. So,
but I'm just saying, I think because he went there, that's why they lost. But just
that's a good, that is probably true.
He's not going to watch this.
Either way, it was gratifying for me because I'm a Giant fan. So
it just showed how bad the East really was.
Oh, it was so good for me to see that, especially the Philadelphia Eagles.
So you guys all get into watching the playoffs?
Playoffs?
Yeah.
You guys remember that? Playoffs? You're talking about playoffs?
Well, it wasn't really a playoff.
Yeah, no, it was a playoff, sort of. No, it's very intriguing. I was reading something today that in Kansas City, they had a half a dozen people in the hospital because of hyperthermia and frostbite and everything from being at the game.
And what was the temperature there?
It was the third coldest. Wasn't it the third coldest?
I think third or fourth. Like but it was only -4. So, I mean, I think it's interesting. I grew up in Wisconsin back in the days of the Packer Dallas
Oh, in the
ice
60s.
bowl when it was -15.
Well, I
Oh, I
guess they
remember
weren't
that.
excited enough to move their feet or shake around
And
or
they didn't
move or
have the
something.
heaters then.
No, they
or
had
the proper heating, blankets that they put on. They didn't have anything then.
no, they had nothing. And I think back to that game, and they were saying at Kansas City that they had the big butane heaters and they had the heated chairs and everything. And so between the 35s, it was 40 degrees.
Yeah.
Where they were blowing all the heat and doing everything, which, I mean, comparatively was really warm.
Yep. Yeah. I agree.
So mentally, well, it's just like that story about that guy in the freezer or whatever. He thought he was going to freeze to death. And, it's this mindset that has.
Yeah, I think part of that is, there are a couple guys that, I'm not going to wear sleeves because I don't want to be considered soft. No, you didn't wear sleeves because you're an idiot.
Yeah.
They make sleeves for a reason. There's no particular reason to rip the skin off your bones, to prove how tough you are. That's silly. I mean, we played back in the day when I was playing at Iowa, we played at Michigan State, easily the coldest game I've played in. And I ran up to with an opening kickoff, and it was like kicking a brick. It was like, oh my goodness. It was so, it was crazy. I felt like, one of those cartoon characters where you hit it and all of a sudden you just go, exactly. It was like, I can't imagine, that was only probably, I don't know, 7 or 10 degrees. That was cold enough to try to attempt all that stuff in, pretty crazy to see what they were playing. And the people, the video that was on with the people getting into Buffalo Stadium, walking through 2.5 feet of snow in their row that they were sitting in.
So from what I heard about that game is they had it the following day because it was supposed to be warmer. And they were looking for people to shovel.
They had that travel ban that you could not leave anywhere. That's why the Steelers didn't leave Pittsburgh, is because they couldn't fly in. So they had a complete travel ban on anybody going. But it's funny, they had a travel ban unless you were shoveling the snow out of the stadium for $20 an hour and free food. Those people could go wherever they wanted.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, crazy.
So did the game go on the next day, which was
it went on yesterday.
Oh yeah, it was a great.
And who won?
Buffalo
did win.
Yeah, I think it's going to be either Buffalo or Kansas City against San Francisco in the playoff in the Super Bowl. That's what I think anyway, because Kansas City's back. They're and Buffalo's back too. So they're both they both went through very frustrating losses this season. Games that they could have won, should have won, and they bounced back from it. And that's very difficult for a team to do that. So either one of them, it would be great to see them to fight to see who's going to be in the Super Bowl against, I believe, San Francisco. So.
Well, I can guarantee you San Francisco won't win only because I bet on them 2 months ago. Anybody that you want to know who's going to win, just ask me who I bet on. Pick the opposite.
I'll hold you to that.
Yeah.
So you just have to ask what he bets, and then you take the opposite.
Bet the opposite. Oh, 100%. I could have a one-legged slot player playing against somebody with no legs running a marathon, and the dude with no legs would win that goddamn marathon.
That's how confident you're so negative.
No, I'm very positive. I just suck.
Hey, John, let me have your contact information. I could win a lot of money.
Like my boys will be betting. They're like,
Dad, Steve, how do you make so much money gambling? Some loser named John.
That's all it takes, man.
Man.
That's pretty cool.
Some people do fantasy football, and then some people just do.
No, it's a fantasy.
I think fantasy. I think fantasy football ruins football. I really do. I have friends and relatives over sometimes, or I'll go over their house, and even though the guy that's betting, and he loves his team, like say he loves the New York Giants, but he has players on his fantasy league that has to score a certain amount of touchdowns or whatever, and it ruins his enthusiasm to root for his team because another guy that he's betting on that's on his fantasy team is foiling it. And that doesn't make sense to me. It just ruins the sport of football. That's my opinion.
What ruins the sport of football, Steve, is to have something called fantasy football. that's spooky in and of itself.
Rex, why do you look like the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain right now?
I am the great Oz.
All of a sudden I hear his voice and I'm like, what the hell is he?
I know, some of these platforms actually have like the avatar kind of glows or resonates or something when you speak, so you know where it's coming from.
Yours is doing that. Yours is glowing right now a little bit. It's going like this.
Well, if it's pulsing, oh yeah, you're right. It is pulsing. Well, there you go.
Yeah, it does when you talk.
The great Oz has spoken.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, but
I thought it was either you're glowing.
I'm serious. A bunch of guys playing fantasy football sounds really kind of scary.
I think so. I agree. And it ruins the fun of the sport because they're so pissed off that their guy isn't doing what they're supposed to do. And even though that guy is on the opposing team that they're rooting for.
Right.
Well, I'm going to ask the Mr. Scooter here, who played football, and they didn't have fantasy football when you were in college. So what's your take on that whole deal?
Oh, I can remember every incident that caused me to stop watching a professional sport because of when a guy's offered a 5-year, $125 million contract and says, I can't possibly sign that. I'm worth more.
Yep.
And that was back 20 years ago. That's when I stopped watching the NBA because somebody literally said that. It's like, come on, it's out of control.
It's way out of control.
It's so way out of control. We look at, when they built the Jerry Dome down here, it was $1.2 billion. And that was the first $1 billion stadium. And it's an amazing facility, but the screen, one of the screens is 60 yards long. It's probably 20 yards tall, and literally half the stadium sits at eye level to the screen. You don't watch the field, you watch the screen.
So you came to watch a big TV.
Well, that's exactly it. So you paid $2,500 a seat to watch a big TV sitting in front of you. Yeah. It's like the mechanics of all of it are just way screwy,
No, I agree.
And so you sit there and you go, where's it's interesting because like the Ice Bowl, it was minus 15 up in Green Bay. There's 60,000 people in the stadium. There wasn't a skybox for nothing. Everybody's out in the elements, players, everybody. They played the game because they played the game. And when the championships were over, they sold insurance or cars for 4 or 5 months out of the year. Because that was their job.
It says something to what you were saying earlier, Scott. In the 60s there with that Frozen Bowl with Green Bay and Dallas, they had no heating equipment at all, yet they did it. No one complained. I mean, they were freezing, you could tell. Yeah. But they were, and look at I guess it's the physical makeup of people today, of players today, being able to handle the elements like that. They can't do it.
Yeah, it's so totally different, indoor practice facilities and things like that. We didn't even have grass on our practice facility, much less, we had dirt and tufts of grass.
Yeah.
And it just has changed so much over time. And the betting side of it, it's interesting. Pete Rose gets blown out of Major League Baseball because of a betting scandal, never allowed to be in the Hall of Fame and whatever. And now on the pregame shows for the NFL, they've got the betting lines, and they've got the fantasy football lines, and they've got the over and unders, and they've got all this stuff that
but that's
that
because
encourages
now
gambling.
That's because now they figure how they can make the money.
Well, that's exactly
the
his
monopoly. It's
Yeah.
because of the monopoly. It's just, back in the day it was only the Graham, what was it, the AT&T, Ma Bell that could only make the money. They broke that down. And so we're talking about we keep talking about a lot of things from the past and then coming forward. And look how many things are still the same, but they're not the same. It's just the bureaucracy or the perspective of it.
I'll tell you, the thing that was brutal was Saturday night when they put that game on Peacock. I mean, that was absolutely, I think they sold that game for $110 million to Peacock.
Right.
We have Peacock. I'm not a rocket science, but
But you didn't have Peacock before, probably.
No,
you purchased it.
Off. It's like Thursday Night Football now is on Prime Video. So you're paying $300 a month for cable. Okay, this is my old rant. You're paying $300 a month for cable. I watched the first half of that goddamn game in Spanish because I couldn't figure out how to get it from Spanish to English. I finally took the freaking remote. I'm like, I'm done. I can't. Why am I watching this game on a third-party network? And then they had so many people that didn't have Peacock. But what Peacock was nice enough to do is put a QR code up there so you could subscribe to Peacock to pay to watch the game. I mean, it's
no different than when the HBO or any of them get the box thing to watch boxing.
Right, pay-per-view.
Pay-per-view. Hello.
I just think
Netflix did it. I mean,
I think the title Peacock is it's a little it's hysterical in itself.
Dude, it's been NBC's Peacock's been there forever, and they just don't talk about it all the time. But yeah,
Well, who wants to talk about a peacock? I mean, you want to.
You're doing it.
John, they were just trying to get you to learn Spanish. It's about time you up level.
I literally muted it, and I'm on my iPad. I'm like, I have 3 different devices going to watch a goddamn football game when it should be on regular television.
Well,
I just like saying Peacock.
It goes to show you. Look at what's happening here. It's the same concept. It used to be Blockbusters, and now I went to Netflix to Hulu. From Hulu to Paramount. I mean, it's all these things that are buying your time, but they're HBO. I mean, it just Cinemax. It used to be all that stuff. They're all buying for your clicks. They're all buying for you to pay $7.99 here or $10.99 here. It's all these different things, and we're the little puppets. We're going to this, we're going to that.
And that's you got to vote. You got to vote by not going to the game. To park at AT&T Stadium is $75. That's the park.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's crazy, and that's not going inside and a $12 beer and a $14 hot dog. And by the time you're out of there and in seats and everything, and you just go, no, I mean, I don't want to plan a vacation for a weekend.
Yeah. I think everybody should experience it once. I mean,
but that's what it costs to park in downtown Chicago in a parking structure on a weekend. $70.
Yeah,
but people are paying for it.
Yeah, and as long as people keep paying for it, guess what's going to happen? They're going to keep going for it.
All right, we should turn this into the senior citizen hour and see what happens on how much we complain and go to dinner at 4:30 so we can get back there to watch the game.
What do you mean? We went to dinner at 4:30, John. We're already back.
We went for the blue light special.
That's right. Someone's going to go to bed after this. What are you talking about?
If you get there by 4:30, you get the turkey, you get the dessert, and the free drink.
And enough to take home for a second meal.
That's right. Then you go home, you take a dump, and you go to sleep. If you're lucky, you take a dump and go to sleep.
Yeah. If not, you
Sometimes
take
you go to sleep.
Come on,
Sometimes you
Jerry,
go to
bring us
sleep
out
and
of
take
this,
a dump.
will ya?
It's on me.
Yeah, it's on you to bring us out of this.
Well,
Come on, Barry.
first of all, LA is right now setting the benchmark because they spent $700 million on a baseball player. So nothing in the NBA or in the or in football is competing with that right now. So right now they've set the bar even higher.
Oh,
I mean, LA did that. I mean, LA did that when the NBA with Lakers they set the high mark in the basketball for a while too with the money they were paying out. So, and yet things here are pretty expensive too. The thing for me is, and I'm watching what's happening with all the different streaming networks. They're all up in their prices right now. Netflix just changed their rates. Amazon Prime just changed their rates. They're all starting to vie for getting the dollars. And the thing is, what they're realizing is they're not making the money they thought they would. So they're trying to just exact the money out of people who don't have it, like the smaller audience. And the thing is, it's like they thought they're going to take over. Like Blockbuster did so well because they had such a massive, inventory, but also a massive audience. They had no competition. When Netflix showed up, they were competing because they did mail order. They did the discs in the mail. The thing is, the streaming, and the reason why Netflix does so well is because they were the first ones to go streaming full on, and they've done really well at it. But Prime is putting up their rates, and they're going to do ads on the basic Prime service now. Netflix is doing the same thing. So, bottom line is, you got to choose what your poison is. If you want to watch stuff, you got to be willing to pay the price. I mean, it's the way it's cost of doing business, basically.
Well,
and yes,
thank
they're
you
probably.
Well, I just canceled my Amazon. I canceled my Hulu. I canceled a lot of stuff, and I'm just not doing it. And I'm just looking at how much money I'm saving.
Good.
And what I'll do is every now and then I'll just take a month and I'll get Hulu for a month for $17.99, and I'll binge the shows that I want, and I'll literally binge them.
That's the key. Is wait till the shows all the episodes have aired, then
that's
you get
right. That's right. That's right. And that's how I'll do it too. I kid you not. I'll be like, I'm sorry, I'm gonna just, and that's it. And I'll consider it like.
And then they will figure out a way to say, okay, if you did it once this year, you don't get to do it for another year.
Well, then they can kiss my ass because I'm not going back.
Well, just know that as a political conversation, this has been foreseen from the forefathers years ago about the rise of the oligarchy and the corporations taking everything over. And when there's no competition, there's no competition. So we are living in a society globally, essentially, that's been willing to give up all sorts of things in favor of just pursuing a dollar.
Well, it used to be that you had to go to Amazon and you couldn't get Hulu or whatever, but now from Amazon you can get Showtime or whatever. You can go to Roku and get Showtime or whatever. So now they allowed like all these, little and then what is it, the Fire Stick, you could get, Amazon, vice versa. They allowed them to, start getting the packages that you can get the subscriptions from there. Because at first you could only get it through, StreamYard or, Hulu or Roku or whatever, the Fire Stick or the Roku. You had to, pick your device, because I have a Roku and a Fire Stick. So, hi, Sandy, and hi, Mindy. So, like you said, they have you tossing and turning and doing all things here.
One of the things you look at what you want to watch. I mean, like I have certain streaming services I will use because those are the services I know I want to watch. The other ones I don't bother with. It's like and I know I'm going to pay for it. So it used to be, but the thing is nowadays, thankfully, with what happened with cable, I mean, cable got so damn expensive.
Yeah,
streaming at this point is still cheaper than that if you know what you're doing. The problem with cable was it was all bundled.
Right, and now that's why. If you just get the internet, that's why they charge you so much, and they try to give the cable to you just about free because they're mad that you're not, streaming with them.
Well, I'm grateful right now where I live. We have 3 different choices now. So we've got 2 fiber optics, plus we've got cable, so we get to choose in between, which is good.
Well, they all just get very greedy, and then the sad thing is you get these services, and then you're out living life anyways, and then you don't sit there and watch the stuff anyhow. So why have this stuff anyhow? So.
Everyone's jumping on the wagon to raise prices, especially since the economy started tanking. Whether it's legitimate or not, everyone's taking advantage of it. And everything's going up. Restaurants, food, you name it, gas. It's like, I don't know.
Gas has come down.
Gas is that one thing that has come down.
Yeah, that came down, but now
the food prices are crazy.
Yep.
Not for me.
Well, I'm not happy to say my mortgage just went up $300 because we had hail damage in this area so much that to
Your
get
homeowner's insurance.
homeowners insurance for replacement cost. Now
Yeah.
I don't owe that much on my house, but for replacement costs,
Well,
I'm
if you'd
paying-
like to,
Oh, don't even
refinance,
go
Lynn,
there,
I'd be
John,
more
right
than
now.
glad to help you out.
Yeah.
You
But
walked into
I'm
that one.
paying
Somehow every
$2,500
week
more.
this turns into mortgage.
$2,500 more a year in
Yeah.
insurance for my house. So it's $300 more a month. And I'm
So-
not happy about that either, but it is
So
what
just
it
checking.
is.
So is this going to be the Lynn and Scott kvetching show now, or are we actually going to move into something that's going to be maybe inspirational for some other people? Because right now we're in a good rant. It's
No.
great.
So
that
the
where we're
rant
going?
is we're just relating with people right now. That's all.
We got to open a GoFundMe for the Lynn and Scott
Yeah,
friendship. So
we just spent $600 cash. Hey, everybody's staying. Everybody's liking the fact that we're relating with people. Built
I
ground.
knew it couldn't be true. They couldn't be positive all the time. They had to fall from grace.
That's right. Rant is real. See, Sandy even said rant is real.
Yeah, Sandra Horton, we have to be related.
Sandra Horton is she lives in Canada.
Okay.
All is wonderful. So you guys, so what have we learned today, or what are we going to bring the spin of that positiveness?
Well, we learned we're all eating at 4:30. None of us have cable.
And we hate fantasy football.
We hate
and we're
fantasy
pissed off that
football.
prices have gone up. And I'm pretty depressed right about now, but thank you.
You're welcome.
You just turned a comedian into being totally depressed. So that's
Hey,
awesome.
well, most of them are. So there you go.
You know what? I think what we learned, Lynn, is we're all in the same boat. And there's nowhere to go but up. I mean, anything we talked about, we all agreed with. Any of the viewers, I know Deb was on there and Sandra was on there, everyone agreed with. So the thing is turn the shit around, man. Put a smile on your face and make it happen.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's where it is.
You don't believe that shit, do you?
Provide value to people and lift them up.
Absolutely.
The point is, there's so many people that have been taken advantage of. It'd be really nice just to treat people with respect, honor, and dignity. Novel concept.
Absolutely.
First time I've ever said it on this show.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. It's it's the simple things in life that I've got to say that it's been like my first time in a month being on, and it's really nice to see the people that have either missed our Tuesday show when we didn't do our show that one week, or they're people that reach out and say, "Hey, Lynn, I haven't seen you live," and that's nice to know. I mean, I don't post much lately, and because I'm not one to post to say I'm going to the refrigerator now, or I just sneezed 10 times, and that's okay. Some people do that, and that's cool, but I'm not that one to share so much on social media. And yet, it's just nice when, people notice when you're not there. But it's also nice that what I like to do is when I'm not feeling good is I like to go and, give hearts to people or send a hug or, send prayers or happy birthdays and things like that. And it is the simple things to just be quiet and under the radar and just, let people know that you're there, but not be there. So even though I wasn't posting, I was at least trying to go like a post or be under the radar and, give love somewhere else, even though I didn't want to share that I was feeling under the weather. So,
it's funny you said that, Lynn. I was in a meeting today with someone today, and one of the quotes he said, which I wrote down, it was amazing. It says, I can't read my writing. Get people talking about you when you're not in the room. That's what you want. You want to make such an impression on people that when you're not there, you want them talking about you. Kind of what you just said. Lynn's been kind of quiet, but we've all sent you messages hoping you're well. So to be talked about when you're not in the room is probably one of the best compliments you could ever achieve.
Thank you, Rich. I appreciate that. Thanks. The thing is that I am an introvert, and I really just do like to stay really quiet or behind the scenes. And sometimes I realize I can't do that because I have such a big following, but I do like to stay behind the scenes. And so, I do tell people, oh, I'm doing okay, but I don't really like to bring it up. But it is nice to know that some people do notice and they go, "Hey, where you been?" Oh, you did notice? Because when I go to an event, I like to be there early enough, so I'm already in the room. I don't like to be one that comes in and people see me come in. So, and then I like to sneak out too. So
Irish goodbye. It's an Irish goodbye.
so all I'm trying to say is that it's just, but I know that for the sake of other introverts that feel like that they don't make a difference, we do need to make a difference, and we do matter, and people do matter. It's just really, really, love my Irish goodbyes. Yeah, because I love seeing people that I think it just, we all have our place and we all have our parts, and I love that, and I love I love our Tuesdays together, because we all fit, we all have our little place in the group, and I love that, and I appreciate this Tuesdays with you guys. Steve's been kind of quiet tonight, I gotta say, because he's just been traveling. He's been pooped. He's been traveling.
I'm just sucking in the conversation.
But no, seriously, it is just nice for people to realize that and Rex has been kind of quiet tonight too, but it's nice to be around your people and know that just to be is always nice.
Well said.
So but Barry, my Barry friend, what relationship things do you have going on coming soon, that Valentine's is coming up?
Well, first of all, I tend to go on a rant about Valentine's Day because it's a Hallmark holiday. It's not a real thing.
Yeah, it's an everyday thing. Exactly.
Right. So in my work, I mean, I sometimes put out some videos about that time just to let people know that it's worth, just enjoying life anyway. But I want to sidebar a little bit, actually, back to what took earlier about all the ranting and upset about price and everything else. The thing I keep forgetting, which I now remember more often, is we're always better off than we think we are. And why I bring that up is because I started doing this back in November. Is I've been volunteering Saturdays now in the local area. A friend of mine brought me into this organization. We help distribute food to needy families. And every time I do it, I'm just blown away by how much of a feeling, I mean, which I know is the key. When you do something service like that, the feeling I get to come out of it, I feel so much better off than I ever thought I was, because I know that I'm able to make a difference and improve somebody's life. So paying those prices, I don't feel so grieved about, because I feel like I'm doing my part in helping out. But if anybody's feeling like they don't feel like they get enough value out of life, or they don't feel life is going well, go find somebody you can help who does less well off than you are. I guarantee you it will uplift your life. It's so worth doing. Yes. So that's a loving act you can do that way right there. So that's a little gift for you there you can take with you.
Absolutely. I love that.
I think, with what everybody's going through, I mean, this cold and everything is hit the vast majority of the country. It might not have hit Florida, might not have hit California, but it's hit just about everybody else, pretty significantly. Is just be understanding. And I know somebody was going, well, that guy was supposed to have an agreement in yesterday. Well, do you realize that guy is in 10 below, freezing rain, da-da-da-da-da. Do we realize what people's circumstances are? That a lot of people are going, and we're phenomenally blessed down here, certainly in comparison to so many others. And the fact is, are you just calling and checking on people and doing it? Or are you going next door and checking on people around you? I mean, for here, it's crazy, but in other places, it's really crazy. Are you calling around and just checking and making sure, at least leaving messages? I know that's something John likes to do a lot of, is leave the messages and, just work to inspire and encourage people the very best you possibly can.
Right.
This has been probably a tough week for a lot of people around the country, so a little understanding goes a long way.
But the problem with that is that a lot of people are so caught up in their own shit that they can't or don't notice that other people have it worse than them. So it's a lot of people, it's hard for them to feel grateful and bless what they have, because they're so caught up in their stuff that they can't see that there are other people, or they don't care that other people are doing worse than them, because all they care about is what they believe is happening to them. And I think that's the problem. They just, and I'm not judging. I just think it's part of the way things are with a lot of people. Your life isn't working, things aren't going right, and if you were aware of what's happening around you, you could see that, my God, I am blessed because look what this person's going through. Look at this person's going through. But they don't, because they're so caught up in their stuff, in their crap, that they're not aware of that there are people way worse than what they are. And that's why they have a hard time being grateful.
Well, that's where I think a little bit of state change goes a long way.
Excuse me?
That's where a little bit of state change goes a long way. If you can interrupt their state and where they are and help them recognize that, that's why you just make a phone call. Again, we had this conversation a couple of weeks ago or actually last week about, I answer the phone a certain way, and I hadn't talked to this certain friend since 2019. And she called today and she goes, God, you said it again, when I answered the phone. And I haven't talked to her in almost 4 years. And it was just an immediate state change. And we started a conversation. It took us back to a place.
Yep.
Again, a lot of these things, part of it is doing everything you can to stay in a place of gratitude and blessful, blessings and wanting to be a blessing. Somebody posted today, if you haven't gotten a miracle, be the miracle.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly it. I go for gratitude walks every day. I've been doing it for years. Yeah. I don't care. I won't say every day, but almost every day I go for what I call a gratitude walk. And I'm grateful for the birds, for the sunrise, for the sunset. And the magic about that is the more that you're grateful for, the more you get in your life to be grateful for. It's the law of attraction.
You get what you focus on. I mean, I've been commenting on Barry's posts lately because he posts some great sunrises on his walks and some of the different things.
Yep.
And so but I had to see it once to go, well, why don't you comment on it to encourage him to keep on doing it?
Yeah, he does.
But then it encourages me to keep on looking at it. It becomes, you can have the cycle down or you can have the cycle up.
Yeah.
If you want to make a few little actions like that.
It's right in front of you is what you're saying. And I totally agree with you. It is. But I think sometimes we get so caught up in trying to make a living and get so caught up in the crap of doing that we forget what it's like to live. We forget what's really important. You're getting ready to go to work, and you're trying to get your kids ready to eat their breakfast so they can go to school. And your little boy or your little girl is going, Mommy, look at me. And you're going, yeah, that's good, honey. That's really good. Are you really paying attention to that? Because you'll never have that moment again. And perhaps if you did, and your daughter or your son was doing something really special that you missed, you could have taken that with you to work, that one little thing. And I've learned the hard way, because I've learned everything in my life the hard way. But I just learned that these little things are the things that are really, really important. I went to see my grandkids Christmas Eve. Okay. And I see them often, but to me, it's been a while. It's been like a couple of weeks since I've seen them. And I'm very close to my grandkids, my granddaughter, and she's 10 years old. My grandson is 11. And God, she held on to me when I walked into the house. I mean, held on like she wouldn't let go. I couldn't even walk. And I took them out to breakfast. I spent some time and I left and I got home and I'm like a half hour away. I get out of my car, and as I'm getting out of the car, I'm looking at my phone, and she texted me, I missed you the second you left the house.
Aww,
I got back in my car and I drove back and spent a couple of more hours. I had to.
She got what she wanted.
But that's what I mean. To most people, to me, I was so grateful for that, so emotional about that. Anything, and I was going through some stuff that was annoying the crap out of me that whole week. That all disappeared. Because that's life. That's like God saying to you, this is what's important. This is what you take with you when you're living your last years on this planet.
Steve,
That's the stuff.
The blessing is the grandkids, because we get to do it over again with our grandkids. That's the blessing that God gave us.
You get to give them back as well.
Yes. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Amen.
I can't tell you how many times my son or my daughter-in-law call me up and go, "God damn it, you did it again. Now I can't calm them down."
That's revenge.
Resonating voice of
Right as passage.
The resonating voice of Oz is coming through.
Yes. Yes.
I want to say that
That's a great one.
I want to say, here's wisdom from the Wisconsin. So everything I've heard is great. It's really wonderful. And the idea and the practice of gratitude and gratitude walks and emphasizing the things that you appreciate and the people in your life and the events and the circumstances is wonderful. I am right now sitting in an ice palace where I'm surrounded by about 3 or 4 feet of ice around me. I can't get the car out of the driveways or into the driveways. They can't plow it because it's solid block ice. It's going to be that way for at least another week because we've been in sub-zero temperatures now for a while. It will then get warm and melt and then freeze again. So we will have pretty much the same situation, but it's all good. It's really no different than COVID. And COVID for me was wonderful. I loved it. A couple of years of doing things differently. I've had to cancel appointments and meetings and things like that because I can't get to them. I could Uber and jump over the ice wall, which I will end up having to do tomorrow early in the morning. But other than that, I'm just as busy in home by myself doing what I'm doing as I would be if I were out meeting and doing all the meetings, because I can do them on Zoom. I can do them 3-way, 4-way phone calls, things like that. So nothing's really changed except mobility.
Mm-hmm.
But I've got heat. I've got my girl dogs. I've got food in the house. I'm not worried. If it came down to no food in the house, I could DoorDash or Uber Eats or something. So it's not like I'm the most romantic. One of the most romantic weekends I've ever had in my life was I was visiting Wisconsin in the 80s in a very remote friend's cabin with a girlfriend. And we got snowed in for a week. We couldn't move. He had like 100-yard driveway, and there's just no way. No one could plow the driveway for a week. So we were just stuck inside this place. And again, we had things that we had to do. In those days, there weren't cell phones. I mean, there was a lot of, if the phones were down, you were down. Everything is good. So all of that's been expressed has been wonderful. But here's the thing about the law of attraction that I would like to add. And one of the pieces that what may have been touched on, or maybe I didn't hear it, or that's oftentimes missing, and that is love yourself. Be grateful for yourself. People go, "Oh, my foot hurts," but the rest of their body works well, so all they do is focus on their sore. And when they go out and they talk, they go, "What's wrong?" They go, "Oh, my foot! I've hurt my foot. I can't get better. I got to see the doctors and all this stuff." Instead of going, "You know what? 99% of my body's working absolutely perfectly well, and my foot is healing." The thing is that we have this repetitive tape loop inside us that criticizes us. Some people call it inner child, or inner parents, or the ego, or the id, or you can whatever name you want to call it. But most people criticize themselves, rag on themselves, and disparage themselves throughout the day. How about saying, "I love myself. I'm so grateful for who I am. I'm grateful for the parents I had. I'm grateful for all the horrible times in my life that I had because it helped shape me. I am so wonderful. I accept myself. I appreciate myself. I am living a marvelous life." Because we don't appreciate, we aren't grateful for ourselves enough. And what you put out, you want to get back. Why not put out that you're loving, you love yourself, you're compassionate, you're generous, you're kind, you're good, and all the wonderful things about you, because then you get more of that back. It's one thing to do it all about the outside events and the people and the circumstances. It's another thing to take time to do a real, true, healthy, wonderful, positive, grateful inventory on oneself.
I agree.
Totally agree. I mean, it's interesting that you say that, Rex, because that's been one of the biggest modifications or improvements for me this in 2024 is being willing to say, "Damn, what I just did there was really awesome," and be okay saying that. Because I think sometimes when you're a giver, you tend to give, and then you just, you don't really internalize that feeling. But to say, I mean, I was talking to a client today after the day, and I said, damn, it was a great day. Amazing phone conversations, progress was made, just really excited about what's going forward. And I think that's part of it, is recognizing that your contributions towards the greater good going forward, becoming better, the little things. It doesn't take a whole lot of stuff.
That's a great understanding and a great share, and I appreciate that. I would add, because what happened while you were speaking is I had a memory of me, and I think I was in 7th grade, and it was either gym class or a basketball game that we had. I wasn't on the basketball team, so it must have been a gym or a after school something, but it wasn't the sport team. And I wasn't I'm not very tall, and I wasn't a very good basketball player, but I did an exceptional layup. I just somehow lucked into this thing, or I just used my own excellence and managed to do this layup. And as I was running back to the other side, the gym teacher said, "Great job, Sykes." And do you remember when people used to like rub their fingers against their chest as a symbol of I'm cool? You remember that? They used to like their knuckles against each other.
Yeah.
And kind of blow on their fingers and then do that thing.
Yeah.
And I did that as he complimented me, like, "Yeah, I'm cool, aren't I?" I felt so horrible after doing that, because I felt, oh, well, that was really egotistical. That was so out of place. Look at me showboating the whole thing. The guy's giving me a compliment. I felt horrible for saying, yeah, it was a good job, wasn't it? But that's because so many of us, when you said, good job or whatever, so many of us aren't taught, when we do something that's awesome, to say, wow, I'm really proud of myself. That was really good. That was really awesome. I did a good job. Because you're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to be egotistical. You're not supposed to showboat. You're not, you know what I mean? So, but it's okay to, it's not something you tell everybody. Like, aren't I wonderful?
Right.
Don't you think I'm wonderful, Scott? Aren't I truly wonderful? I know you're thinking how great I am. It's not that. But it's
very true, Rex.
I tell everybody how great I am.
Yeah, but I mean, it's the willingness to acknowledge your own goodness, your own excellence. At times you do well. We make plenty of mistakes. Well, hey, I make mistakes as good as the rest of them. I'm as good a mistake maker as ever. The key is, do I learn from them? So, to appreciate ourselves and to just love ourselves and to spread that love. Because if we love ourselves, we can love other people.
Well, I think the other thing that's happened for me, because it was a conscious thing coming into 2024 to do more of that, is to really feel good about the effort applied and a variety of things. And again, not to pound your chest about it or post about it or whatever, but be okay to say, you know what, that was really good. The whole process went exactly the way I thought it would. Wow. It's, the years of expertise and the years of experience are paying off. It was more one of those kind of things today. And you sit there and why wouldn't you do that? I mean, all the self-talk and all the stuff that's going on these days, why does everybody have to beat them? First of all, why do they have to beat each other up? And then the other side is, why are you beating yourself up so hard? My goodness.
Well, that's the reason why they beat each other up, because they're beating themselves up first.
Exactly.
If you were secure with yourself, if you loved who you were, there's no way you could want to argue or fight with someone else.
And that's why, again, in a situation, somebody said, well, how come this agreement hasn't come in and whatever? And I said, well, have you thought about what he might be going through in this situation with this polar vortex that's come through and all the different stuff? Could we be a little understanding about it? And it's interesting, because some people sit there and go, oh, you're being soft. No, I'm being compassionate. I'm being understanding. I'm being logical. I'm being empathetic. If we would do more of that, things would de-escalate a whole lot.
And isn't that funny how people take that word understanding and compassion to being weak or soft? Isn't that amazing how some people view it as that? And you know, it's a shame too, because it's one of the keys to understanding one another. You know, to be compassionate, to understand. My greatest saying, if you were to ever ask me at any point, what's your greatest saying? That saying that says, "Walk a mile in my shoes." If we can do that, if we could spend significant time in someone else's body, just to feel why they say the things they say and see what they went through in their life. It's not that you would say, okay, oh, that's why they did it. It's an understanding. You have this oh my God, that's why they say this. This is why I thought they did. And then when you do that, that compassion leads to understanding. It's not saying that what they necessarily do is right. It's just that you are at a place now where you could understand where this person's coming from and maybe come to some kind of a solution where you can finally get along.
Absolutely.
But that's the journey. That's
okay, you guys. It's 1 minute and 1 second after our time's up here.
Okay. All right.
No, what I was going to say, you are so right there, Steve. And that's why we do. That's why we do the show as we all see it, because this is why we love doing this. Is if we spend more time sharing with each other how we all see it and walking each other's, and having the compassion and sharing our different perspectives, we can spend more time sharing and having this ripple effect. This would make the world a better place and having this. And that's why I love the fact that we all come together on a Tuesday and try to share our different viewpoints and ripple it out there to make a difference. And so this is why I love you guys so much, and that we come here together and talk about this, and maybe we can bring up this topic and expand on it more next week.
Certainly.
So I love you guys. Yes, Barry? What'd you say?
So we didn't do enough this week?
No, we didn't. So I love you guys so much.
And Rex, it was good to see your light glowing.
Yes.
It's good to glow. It's good to glow.
All right,
the Wizard of Rex.
Glow with God. Glow with God.
Love you. Yep. Love you guys. See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one.
Keeping me safe and sound.